When you hear the word sandwich, chances are you imagine two slices of bread holding together something delicious in between. Ham and cheese, peanut butter and jelly, or maybe something a little fancier. But have you ever stopped to wonder why it's called a sandwich in the first place? It's such a normal word that we don't question it. Yet behind that simple name is a fascinating story of history, aristocracy, and even a bit of gambling. So let's dig into why is it called a sandwich, and how it became such a universal part of our daily language and meals. Let's get into it right here on History of Simple Things. The word sandwich actually comes from a real person, John Montagu, the fourth Earl of Sandwich, an English nobleman who lived in the 18th century. That's right, the sandwich isn't just a random word someone made up. It's literally named after a man and the place he represented, Sandwich, a town in Kent, England. John Montagu was born in 1718 and became the fourth Earl in 1729. He was known for many things: politics, serving as First Lord of the Admiralty, and yes, for his infamous gambling habits. His legacy is tied less to his political career and more to the simple food that now bears his title. The most popular story of how the sandwich got its name is linked to John Montagu's love for gambling. According to legend, Montagu was so dedicated to his card games that he didn't want to leave the table to eat a full meal. He needed something quick, practical, and neat that wouldn't interfere with his game. So, he allegedly asked his servants to bring him slices of meat tucked between two pieces of bread. This way, he could eat with one hand while keeping his other free to hold his cards and, importantly, avoid getting grease all over them. His fellow gamblers took notice and began ordering the same as sandwich. And just like that, the name stuck. Now, whether this story is 100% accurate is debated, but it's the version that history loves to repeat. Even if it's slightly embellished, it perfectly captures how convenience, necessity, and a little bit of indulgence came together to create a culinary icon. Now here's the interesting part. Montagu didn't actually invent the concept of putting food between bread. Cultures around the world had been doing similar things for centuries. In the Middle Ages, for example, Europeans used trenchers, which were thick slices of stale bread used as plates to hold meats and stews. Once the meal was done, the bread soaked with juices could be eaten or tossed away. That's essentially an early sandwich. Even earlier in the Middle East, people were wrapping meats and vegetables in flatbreads like pita, and in Asia, variations like rice buns or filled breads had long existed. So the Earl of Sandwich didn't create the idea, it was already there. What he did was popularize it in England and give it a name that would eventually spread worldwide. What started as a convenient snack for an English nobleman soon traveled across the world. When British settlers and travelers carried their customs abroad, the sandwich followed. In the United States, sandwiches became especially popular in the 19th and 20th centuries. Immigrants added their own twists. Think of the Italian sub, the Jewish pastrami on rye, or the Cuban sandwich. Every culture adapted the sandwich concept with its own flavors, transforming it into a global food phenomenon. Today we have endless variations: burgers, wraps, club sandwiches, grilled cheese, banh mi, gyros, and so much more. All of them can trace their lineage back to the Earl of Sandwich's moment of practicality or gambling indulgence, depending on which story you prefer. Here's a fun detail. The Earl wasn't named after a random word. His title came from the town of Sandwich in Kent, England, a historic port town. The name of the town itself goes back to Old English, Sandwick, meaning sandy place, or trading port on the sand. So when you say sandwich, you're actually invoking layers of history, a medieval town, an aristocratic title, and then the food itself. It's a neat example of how language and culture evolve together. Over time, the sandwich has also worked its way into culture and language beyond just food. Phrases like being sandwiched between two things or describing something as a sandwich generation show how deeply ingrained the concept has become. It's a metaphor that works because the idea of something held between two layers is so universally understood. There are even entire chains of restaurants devoted to sandwiches, and certain sandwiches like the BLT, the Philly cheesesteak, or the Reuben have become cultural icons on their own. So why did the name sandwich endure when similar foods existed long before? The key lies in language and timing. By the 18th century, literacy and printed works were spreading more widely. When the Earl's habit got written down and repeated, it gave the dish a clear identity. People love attaching stories to food, and a quirky origin tied to an eccentric nobleman made for the perfect story. From there, the name spread just as fast as the food itself. The sandwich is more than just a convenient meal. It's a slice of history wrapped in bread. While John Montagu didn't invent the concept of putting meat between bread, his lifestyle gave it a name that stuck. From the gaming tables of 18th century England to the lunchboxes and restaurants of today, the sandwich has become one of the most universal and beloved foods in the world. So, the next time you bite into your favorite sandwich, remember, you're not just eating lunch. You're participating in a centuries-old tradition that links back to a gambling nobleman, a town called Sandwich, and a word that has stood the test of time. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.